Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have been watching the folks in this town for more years than I can rightly count, and let me tell you, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing straight up right now. When Ethan Lovett caught sight of Hudson Parker wandering around the streets of Port Charles, you could see the sheer, unadulterated panic wash right over his face. He looked exactly like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt into the woods at the very first sign of trouble. Ethan is not the kind of guy who gets spooked easily. He has been around the block a few times and has seen his fair share of rough patches. So seeing a tough fellow like him want to pack up his bags and run for the hills told me everything I needed to know. The past is knocking loudly on his front door, and it is certainly not bringing a welcome basket full of muffins. It is bringing pure danger, plain and simple, and all of those dark clouds are pointing directly at sweet, innocent little baby Phoebe. Lord have mercy, my heart just aches right down to the bone when I think about poor Delilah Wilson. That sweet girl faced a tragic end that still leaves a heavy, sorrowful pit in my stomach every single time her name is mentioned. Ethan is carrying the weight of the entire world on his broad shoulders because of that terrible loss. He is driven by this fierce, unshakable determination to protect her little girl from the harsh realities of the world. It is almost as if he is trying to make up for the heartbreaking fact that he could not save Delilah by making absolutely certain that little Phoebe gets the safe, warm, and happy life her mama always dreamed of for her. He is holding on to that sacred promise like a lifeline in a raging, stormy sea, and you can feel the raw, unfiltered emotion radiating from him every single time he looks at that precious child. He is a man on a mission, and he will not let anything stand in his way. Now, let us sit down and talk turkey about this biological father situation, because it is as clear as a bell that whoever fathered that precious baby is nothing but bad news. I mean, we are talking about a top-tier, highly dangerous individual who likely has a whole closet full of skeletons. If this man was just some regular Joe working a 9-to-5 job, Ethan would not be tying himself in knots trying to keep little Phoebe hidden in the shadows. Ethan is absolutely terrified of this mystery man having any part whatsoever in raising the little girl. It makes a man wonder what kind of dark, twisted things this father is truly capable of doing. Is he a ruthless mobster? A cold-hearted criminal mastermind? Whatever he is, Ethan knows deep in his gut that if this man gets his rough hands on Phoebe, her innocent life will be ruined forever, and that is a risk he simply cannot and will not tolerate. You have got to admire Ethan's sheer grit and determination, though. He has gone to some truly extraordinary lengths to build an invisible fortress around this innocent baby. I am talking about pulling strings, crossing moral lines, and even orchestrating a completely fake paternity test just to push the adoption process through. That is not just a little white lie you tell to spare someone's feelings. That is a massive, life-altering deception that could land a man in a whole heap of legal trouble. But in his desperate mind, the ends absolutely justify the means. He needed to get Phoebe into a safe, loving, and stable home, far away from the dark shadows of a real father's influence. It is a desperate, frantic move from a desperate man. And while it might not be strictly legal or right by the book, you cannot help but sympathize with his pure, protective intentions. He is just trying to do right by a mother who is no longer here to protect her own flesh and blood. And then, just when you think things might settle down, in walks Hudson Parker, stirring the pot and making a massive mess of everything. The very moment Hudson arrived in town, I swear the temperature in the room dropped a good 10 degrees. It gives me the shivers, just thinking about it. Is this fellow, the biological father, looking to claim what is his? Or is he just the hired muscle, a cold-blooded gun, working for some new shadowy villain who is pulling the strings from behind a heavy velvet curtain? My gut tells me Hudson is like a relentless bloodhound on a fresh scent. He is sniffing around, asking pointed questions, and poking his nose where it absolutely does not belong. The uncertainty of his true role in this whole mess just adds a whole lot of fuel to the fire, keeping all of us sitting right on the edge of our seats, anxiously waiting for the other shoe to drop. Bless her heart, Ava Jerome always seems to find herself right smack in the middle of a hurricane, doesn't she? Somehow, Hudson managed to plant a hidden listening device right inside Ethan's private hotel room. Now, that is a sneaky, underhanded, low-down trick if I ever saw one. Think about the kind of cold, calculating mind it takes to invade someone's private sanctuary just to eavesdrop on their most intimate conversations. And what does this sneaky fellow capture on his little recording gadget? A deeply confidential, highly sensitive conversation between Ethan and Ava. Now, we all know Ava is a smart cookie who knows her way around a dangerous situation, but even she might not realize just how much danger they are in by simply talking out loud. If Hudson caught even a faint whisper about Delilah's tragic death, or the hidden truth about the fake adoption papers, he has just been handed the keys to the entire kingdom. Knowledge is power, my friends, and right now Hudson is sitting in the dark holding all the winning cards. My heart just goes out to Harrison Chase and Brooklyn Quartermain. Those two sweet souls have opened up their hearts and their beautiful home to little Phoebe, loving her and cherishing her as if she were their very own flesh and blood. They are completely in the dark, happily going about their days, completely unaware of the massive storm clouds gathering right above their heads. If Hudson pieces together the puzzle and realizes that the sweet baby they just adopted is the exact same child he has been hunting for, their entire world is going to be shattered into a million tiny pieces. They are just trying to build a loving family to provide a warm crib and a bright future, and instead, they are unknowingly sitting right on top of a ticking time bomb. It is downright heartbreaking to think about the immense pain and sorrow that might be coming their way, through no fault of their own. It seems highly likely to me that Hudson goes way back with both Ethan and Delilah. You do not just stumble into Port Charles with a pocket full of bugging devices unless you know exactly who you are tracking and what you are looking for. Whatever deep trouble Ethan and Delilah got themselves tangled up in before they came seeking refuge in this town, Hudson was likely right there in the thick of it, watching their every move. He probably knows their daily habits, their deepest secrets, and exactly how their minds work. That familiarity makes him an incredibly dangerous adversary. He is not just guessing in the dark. He is putting together a complex puzzle where he already holds most of the corner pieces. It is only a matter of time, maybe just days or hours, before he figures out the whole picture, including the desperate fake paternity test Ethan arranged. This brings me to my deepest, darkest fear for this entire heartbreaking situation. I am absolutely terrified that sweet, innocent little Phoebe is going to be snatched right out of her warm crib in the dead of night. A kidnapping seems almost inevitable at this point, like a train rushing down the tracks with no brakes. Hudson is certainly not the type of man to just walk away empty-handed after putting in all this effort. If he wants to draw Ethan out of hiding and force a confrontation, what better, more cruel way than to take the one single thing Ethan values much more than his own life? Using a helpless, crying baby as bait is about as low as a snake's belly in a wagon rut. But these folks do not play by the rules of decent society. They play to win, they play for keeps, and they do not care one bit about who gets hurt in the process. If Hudson is not the actual father, then he is definitely a delivery boy for someone much, much worse. Imagine the sheer terror of Hudson grabbing that precious child and handing her over to a ruthless, cold-blooded boss. A man who views the child not as a daughter to be loved, nurtured, and cuddled, but merely as a possession to be controlled and used for his own sick games. This unseen villain is the real monster lurking under the bed, the boogeyman that keeps Ethan awake at night staring at the ceiling. The terrifying thought of little Phoebe being raised by a man with a heart made of solid stone, surrounded by dangerous criminals and constant threat, is enough to make any decent, hardworking person sick to their stomach. Ethan knows exactly what this man is capable of, and that is exactly why he is sweating bullets every single day. As I wrap up my thoughts and look out at the evening sky, I can only fold my hands and pray for a miracle for that little girl. She deserves a life filled with bright sunshine, joyous laughter, and a safe, warm place to lay her head at night. She does not deserve a life spent constantly looking over her shoulder, running from shadows she does not understand. The storm is brewing on the horizon, the winds are starting to howl, and Hudson Parker is the dark, ominous cloud threatening to wash away everything Ethan has worked so incredibly hard to build. We are in for a very bumpy ride, my friends. Hold on to your hats, keep your loved ones close, and let us all hope and pray that the light finds a way to break through this terrible, heavy darkness before it is too late for little Phoebe.